Now, I told you about the Whitaker hearing that's taking place right now. The leftists running the Judiciary Committee there are outraged that Mr. Whitaker is refusing to discuss conversations he had with President Trump, which is par for the course. Members of the cabinet don't talk about the advice they give their president. I mean, it's just not, it's protected from disclosure under the Constitution. And they also are asking him about his monitoring of the Mueller investigation. Now, as I've pointed out to you, Mr. Mueller is king of the Justice Department. He isn't, practically speaking, supervised by any responsible official in the Justice Department. He's appointed, has to give intermittent reports about and seek requests, authorization to expand his authority. But he doesn't have to run by anything. He doesn't need to run by his appointing supervisors, whether it be Rosenstein, or Mr. Whitaker now, before he does anything. He doesn't need their approval. Now, after the fact, they can come in and say, "Don't do that." But of course, that's not going to happen, politically speaking. So, as I said, in effect, it's King Mueller. So they're not all that satisfied with the Mueller investigation because it's pretty clear Mueller's investigation is going nowhere. It's harassing. It's designed to try to overthrow President Trump. They may try to take out President Trump legally or his family members or other associates. I mean, the abuse, we've shown they have a demonstrated record of abuse. For instance, the Southern District of New York, or the deep state Southern District of New York, is harassing President Trump with an expansive investigation into his inaugural committee now. They just want to investigate everything. And I suspect little good faith basis for doing so. There's evidence of a crime, you investigate it. That's fair. But just because you think there might be a crime somewhere doesn't allow you to go investigate something, that's the opposite of the rule of law. So Congress is nervous that Mueller is going to come up dry. So they've promised expansive harassing investigations as part of this overthrow effort of President Trump. Now, Adam Schiff, the ethically challenged Adam Schiff, who's still subject to an ethics complaint by Judicial Watch for improperly confirming the existence of classified information contrary to House rules, something he accused Nunes of, that Nunes was exonerated of, but for which the Ethics Committee is yet to move on with Mr. Schiff. And on top of that, it's been disclosed this week that Schiff was out in Aspen, Colorado, and he accidentally or magically or incredibly or coincidentally ran into Glenn Simpson, Hillary Clinton's hatchet man for Fusion GPS, a witness before the committee. And of course, he didn't tell anyone in the committee he had a conversation with him. Now, he says the conversation was innocent. I would suggest the Ethics Committee investigate that as well. Maybe he should recuse himself, as he demanded Nunes do. I doubt any of that's going to happen for real. Maybe we'll file an ethics complaint with the Senate, with the Ethics Committee on that issue. I don't know. But Schiff announced an outrageous investigation into the president. And I printed off Mr. Schiff's statement on this so you could get it from the horse's mouth. 5 things: the scope and scale of the Russian government's operation to influence the U.S. political process and the U.S. government's response during and since the 2016 election. So a repeat of the investigation that's already been going on that had gone on for 18 months in his own committee. The extent of any links and/or coordination between the Russian government or related foreign actors and individuals associated with Donald Trump's campaign, transition, administration, or business interests in furtherance of the Russian government's interests. Or business interests. Oh, so now the Intelligence Committee is going to investigate Donald Trump's business. Why? Because they want to. Whether any foreign actor has sought to compromise or hold leverage, financial or otherwise, over Donald Trump, his family, his business, or his associates. You could drive a truck through that investigation. It's so broad. Whether President Trump, his family, or associates, what are his associates? I like the definition of that. Are or were at any time at heightened risk of or vulnerable to foreign exploitation, inducement, manipulation, pressure, coercion, or have sought to influence U.S. government policy in the service of foreign interests. So they're going to investigate Donald Trump for everything. Every foreign act he committed as president. Every action as president in foreign policy, Mr. Schiff is going to investigate. Whether any actors, foreign or domestic, sought or are seeking to impede, obstruct, or mislead authorized investigations into these matters, including those in Congress. I mean, to be fair, obstruction of Congress is rarely investigated or pursued, and so, I'm not going to blame them for asking if anyone tried to obstruct their investigation, but of course they would have known that by now. They've already interviewed all these people. So this is an expansive investigation, abusive investigation. It's designed to harass President Trump. And they're going to investigate his finances, his business interests. How far back will they go? We're not talking about policy investigations. We're not talking about oversight of the Justice Department or the intelligence agencies. We're talking about using the power of Congress to investigate one man. Not because of his policies, but because he's someone they don't like politically. So they've announced an abusive investigation, and the president is just going to have to deal with this. I don't know how he's going to deal with it. But voters should, I think, react and highlight the fact or recognize that this is an abuse. And something else that they're planning to do, the law allows essentially key members of Congress to review the tax return information that is normally privileged or covered or protected from by law of any American or corporation, any tax return information. And of course, once Congress reviews it, it could be disclosed. It's not supposed to be, but it could be. And frankly, they probably legally could. Once it goes to Congress, it'd be hard to stop it from being shared with other members of Congress and laundering it through the congressional proceedings and processes to get it public. So it's a law that is only used in sensitive situations, but because President Trump hasn't released his multi-volume tax return, the Democrats have hated him, have hated that because they see it as an opportunity to rifle through his records and find out what he's up to in terms of his businesses. They're just looking to see what hay they can make. So without a good faith reason for doing so, they're going to be pushing to gain access to President Trump's tax returns. Now, it's no surprise to me that the Democrat left is abusing the powers entrusted to them to abuse the IRS. They did it during the Obama administration with the targeting of the Tea Party and conservatives, stalling their applications to operate Tea Party groups, improper audits of donors, and improper targeting based on politics. And guess what? They're doing it again, and they're planning to target the President of the United States with this. Now, I know the law allows them to look at any tax return they want to. But if that law is being abused, I think there might be a credible court case to stop it from happening.